Hello everyone, CRH Films is here with you. Sit back and we're going to get started. Today I'm going to tell you about the 2016 movie, A Cure for Wellness. In a major financial company in New York, an employee named Lockhart, due to urgent business circumstances concerning the affairs of the firm, is tasked with escorting its CEO, Pembroke, from a sanatorium in the Swiss Alps, thereby making amends for financial fraud. Pembroke has written a letter saying that he is finished with the business and will stay at the resort, but his signature is very important for the upcoming deal. Before leaving, he decides to visit his mother in a nursing home. She gives him a ballerina figurine made with her own hands and says goodbye to her son, as she is sure she will never see him again. On a winding road, Lockhart is driven past a village at the foot of a mountain, on top of which the sanatorium is visible. The driver tells a legend that the place used to be the castle of a baron who was obsessed with blood purity. The peasants burned the castle when they found out that the baron wanted to marry his sister. Lockhart arrives at the sanatorium. He sees many old men in white clothes walking in the fresh air. Lockhart asks the driver to wait, himself goes to the reception, but today the visits are over and then he asks to call the administrator. While waiting for the appointment, Lockhart wants to call the office, but learns from one of the old men that the signal is blocked here. He walks across the lawn and comes across a strange vent in the chapel. Talking to the administrator, he sees an old photograph of the sanitarium. The doctor treats Lockhart to some local miracle water, while he himself drinks some medicine from a blue bottle. The doctor suggests Lockhart to come back in the evening, when all the procedures are over. The protagonist decides to return to the hotel. On the way back, he sees a girl in a dress standing on the wall. In the forest, the car crashes into a deer. Lockhart loses consciousness and comes to himself, already in the sanatorium. Waking up, he notices a cast on his leg and Dr. Vollmer, who says that he reported to his superiors about what happened, and Lockhart will have to spend a few days in the sanatorium, the main thing to drink more water to acclimatize successfully. Having finished the conversation, Lockhart sees how they fix the strange hole. After drinking a glass of water, he notices some dirt in it. Looking closely, he realizes that it is a bug. He walks around the sanatorium and sees the patients doing sports and procedures under the supervision of the staff. Soon he himself is invited to a steam bath. At one point, Lockhart sees that the passage behind him has disappeared. A minute later, he sees a corridor at the end of which a deer is walking. Lockhart goes there and finds Pembroke, but the old man refuses to return to the city and says that first he must get clean. Then he learns that the young man, the son of his partner with whom they started a business, he jumped off a bridge leaving his son in the car. Lockhart manages to talk Pembroke into leaving for a couple days. Lockhart asks for a cab and goes to wait outside, where he is approached by Mrs. Watkins, a great lover of mysteries. She is studying the legends and history of the place. Lockhart sees the same girl in the dress again. Her name is Hannah. She is a special patient. Lockhart says he'll be leaving soon. The girl wonders why leave here. The beautiful scenery makes the guy wonder. Upon returning, Lockhart can't find Pembroke anywhere. He goes to the dining hall where Dr. Vollmer is sitting with the other patients. The doctor says that Pembroke got sick after talking about the robot and was sent for special procedures. Suddenly the young man begins to bleed and passes out. Vollmer is examined in Lockhart's office. The doctor informs him that despite his young age, the young man needs special treatment. Lockhart agrees, but as soon as the doctor is out, he immediately steals Pembroke's medical records. When he was giving urine, he notices some parasites in the urine of other patients. Lockhart is placed in a sensory deprivation chamber and warned that the lack of stimuli may cause hallucinations. He recalls his childhood as he suddenly discovers a multitude of eels near him. He knocks on the window, but the nurse does not hear as he is busy with the nurse trying to surface. He loses the oxygen hose. Unable to open the lid, he loses consciousness. Lockhart recalls the death of his father. A nurse pumps him out and afterward examines the tank, but sees no eels there. In the ward, the young man looks at Pembroke's x-rays and notices strange changes in his jaw. He is distracted by a noise from the bathroom and sees the handle of the cistern twitching randomly. He looks out the window and notices one of the workers carrying something on a gurney. In the morning, he has a conversation with Mrs. Watkins, during which he learns that the castle was actually burned down because of medical experiments. The baron was kidnapping people and afterward their dried bodies were found in the fields. Lockhart suspects that the baron was looking for a cure. He examines the door in the tower, but a worker chases him away. Lockhart notices Hannah and goes to her, He asks her to give him a bicycle ride to the village, and in return he gives her a ballerina figurine that his mother gave him before she left. Together they ride down the mountain to the village. Lockhart leaves the girl alone in the bar and himself goes to the veterinarian to consult about Pembroke. He says that the loss of teeth is due to dehydration, but they drink a lot of water in the sanatorium, which alarms Lockhart. The veterinarian also tells the Baron's sister was infertile and every attempt to conceive a child ended in miscarriage. Then goes and cuts open the belly of a deer that drank water in the mountains. Among the guts are many live eels. Lockhart returns to the bar and calls the office. They say that no one warned them about the accident. The young man wants to discuss with Hannah strange things in the sanatorium, but she is accosted by a local punk. A fight begins, which is interrupted by Dr. Vollmer. He takes both back to the sanatorium. At night, Lockhart dreams of Hannah in a bathtub filled with eels. Waking up from the nightmare, he sees a worker rolling out an empty gurney. He feels his tooth wobbling and effortlessly pulls it out. He goes to the nurse to report it. When she leaves, he finds where Pembroke is now. Lockhart goes there, trying not to be seen by the staff. In one of the corridors, he sees an old man lying on a gurney. He suddenly starts screaming. This distracts the staff and helps Lockhart get into the elevator. He goes below and finds a room with barrow chambers. In the next room, he finds Mrs. Watkins. She says she left clues. Also, Lockhart finds out that the Baron's wife was pregnant, but the locals cut out the fetus and threw it in the lake. The baby miraculously survived. The guy notices a parasite under the woman's skin and in fear he moves away from her, dropping the metal rack. This is heard by the orderlies, from whom the guy hides behind one of the many doors. There are many water tanks in this room with people in them, and Pembroke is here too. He tries to break the glass, but it doesn't work. He wants to go back to his room, but on the way he runs into the orderlies and Dr. Vollmer. They take him to the dentist's office, put clamps on him and drill out his front tooth. Afterward, he runs to the car that brought the new patient and asks to be taken to a police officer. Lockhart about illegal experiments on patients, but when the policeman gets out, he sees a blue vial of medicine. The policeman returns to the office with Dr. Vollmer, who says that Lockhart is having hallucinations and aggressive behavior. Moments later, Pembroke appears and says that Lockhart threatened him. The protagonist does not understand why Pembroke is alive. He thinks he has gone mad and returns to the sanatorium. In the morning, he scrutinizes Mrs. Watkins' notes. He is again disturbed by the randomly twitching handle of the cistern. He removes the lid and sees many eels, which moments later disappear. Lockhart breaks out the toilet bowl, but there is nothing there. The young man writes a letter to the office, the same one Pembroke wrote earlier. Later, he starts to go to procedures like everyone else. At one point, he breaks a glass and takes off the cast. The leg turns out to be fine. It wasn't broken like the doctor said. Lockhart takes a shovel and makes his way into the chapel, breaking the lock on the door before doing so. Inside is an underground lake and an ancient laboratory. There he finds many cut and pickled eels, many records, mutilated fetuses, and human skin. He also sees a painting of a ram's wife. The girl in the painting looks a lot like Hannah. Going lower down, he sees a gurney with a body on it, on which Mrs. Watkins, who is already dead, is lying. Lockhart sees someone coming. He hides and witnesses the body being thrown into the lake where it is eaten by eels. The laborer attacks Lockhart. The young man manages to come out victorious, smashing his opponent's head with a brick and escapes. Hannah comes into the dining room in fear. The doctor sees blood on her dress and is overjoyed. Lockhart comes running in and demands that Hannah be released. The doctor tries to calm the young man, but Lockhart tells the patients that they are not being treated here, but killed. The old men rise up and surprisingly grab Lockhart. Lockhart is placed in a barrow chamber and taken to the transfusion wing. Vollmer tells them that the water in the lake helps the eels live 10 times longer than normal water, but the water is toxic to humans unless filtered. The filters are human bodies, from which the very medicine in the blue bottles is vaporized. The medicine helps you live much longer. The doctor tells Hannah that she has become a woman. Hannah goes to Lockhart, who is sitting on a bench admiring the scenery, and gives her the ballerina, telling him that he has encouraged her in vain, that she will be able to leave, because the doctor will never let her go, and the young man doesn't understand why she should leave. In the evening, the staff and patients of the sanatorium organize a wedding ceremony for the doctor and Hannah. Vollmer takes the girl to an underground lake where he wants to conceive a child. The girl is against it and the doctor has to tie her up. She punches him in the face, causing the doctor's skin to tear. Lockhart, spinning the ballerina in his hands, comes out of a state of blurred sanity. After matching Mrs. Watkins' words, he goes into the doctor's office and breaks the glass with an old photograph of the sanatorium. Lockhart realizes that the doctor is the Baron and the girl in the photo is Hannah. He runs to the dungeon where he confronts the doctor. The doctor rips the skin off his face, revealing his true face. Lockhart starts a fire, sparks hit the vent and set fire to the curtains in the hall where the ball is being held. The doctor almost manages to push the guy into the eel lake, but Hannah, who comes to the rescue, hits the doctor over the head with a shovel. Once outside, Lockhart and Hannah admire the fire, with the old men dancing in the background. Together they ride away on their bicycles, but on the way they crash into a car with members of the directors inside. Lockhart doesn't listen to them, gets back on his bike and rides on, grinning like a madman.